You're watching Elon Local News.
For the first time since being named the next dean of the School of Communications, Dr. Rochelle Ford is on campus visiting the place she will call home starting June 30th. Ford is coming from Syracuse University, where she was a professor and chair of the Public Relations Department. Before Syracuse, Ford spent 16 years in the School of Communications at Howard University in Washington, D.C. Dr. Ford now joins us to talk about her new job as Elon's next dean of the School of Communications. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Ford.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us, when you first found out, where were you? What was your reaction?
So I was actually preparing to take my children to the March for Our Lives in Washington, D.C. We were packing up 5 teenagers and getting ready to hop into a minivan to drive down so that they could express their First Amendment rights.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Dr. Ford, we spoke to Provost Stephen House last week, and here's what he said. In regards to your hiring, he said, "She was the type of candidate we thought we'd get, an outstanding candidate. Certainly getting an African-American candidate in the pool, you dream about that. That is not the deciding factor, but that is a piece of the information that you put into that, and I'm very, very excited that we've been able to diversify our senior leadership at the university. I think it's good for our School of Communications, I think it's good for the university, and I think it's great for our students." Dr. Ford, what role should race play in the hiring of university administrators?
Well, I think that it's important that you look at all different aspects of diversity. I think it's exciting when you have a diverse applicant pool, whether it's race, gender, ethnicity, religion, regionality, and that universities try to ensure that their faculty as well as their administrators reflect the student body that they have.
Fantastic.
And so when we're looking up with the school you're coming from, you probably are aware in the past week there have been a lot of attention given to the university about the racial slurs used in a video released by a fraternity. So I'm curious now, what at Elon, if an incident like that were to occur, what kind of action do you think would you recommend, would you hope to see the university take?
Well, I think that it's important when any sort of incident happens that the university takes a careful look at itself to its own climate, and that it also follows whatever the protocols are in place for disciplinary actions, because it's horrible, the video that came out. It was despicable, I mean, to everyone. I know the students claimed that it was satire, but it's also important for us to understand that there is a process in which the university has to go through when it comes to disciplinary actions. In Syracuse's case, immediately, because it was not representative of the type of organizations and type of rhetoric that we want to have on our campus, that fraternity was suspended. So there was swift action for that organization, but for the individual students, they have rights, and there's a process in place, and so the universities need to know what those processes are, and then make sure that it's a fair and deliberate process and an expedited process. But it's also important for universities to continue to understand the climate in which they operate and be honest with themselves. And then when students have issues where they believe that they are doing parodies or they're doing something that's in satirical in nature, to help students understand the power and responsibility that comes out when you try to produce something of that nature, and how words can be hurtful, and depending upon who the sender is and the power in which they possess, that there also becomes responsibility. And I think there's lessons in it also with our own social media usage, and how sometimes when you think things are private, they're no longer private. And so it's important that universities help with that media literacy part, as well as ensuring that there's a climate of respect on campus.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And
we have one more question.
Sure, yeah.
What's your goal? What kind of legacy do you want to leave on this campus?
Well, I want to make sure that we continue to elevate the school. There's an amazing legacy that Paul Parsons has built in the school, and the faculty and the staff and the students have an amazing reputation already. But how can we make it even better? How can we sustain that? How can we make sure that we keep moving forward? And so I hope that it will be one that of continuing to elevate what has already begun here.
Thank you, Dr. Ford. We really appreciate you taking the time
Thank you for joining us.
to chat with us this evening.